If we define health as energy, how would you tell me you're doing? On episode 713 of the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast, we meet Dr. Michelle Jorgensen and discuss her book, Living Well with Dr. Michelle, a comprehensive handbook for optimal health and unlimited energy. Welcome to the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast, the largest and longest running health and fitness podcast dedicated to people over 40. Whether you're looking to lose weight, get stronger, or improve your health and age better, this podcast is for you. I'm your host, Coach Allan, an online health and fitness coach and author of The Wellness Roadmap. Each week, we dive into practical tips, expert advice, and inspiring stories to help you take control of your health and fitness. If you're ready to look, feel, and perform your best, no matter your age, this podcast is the perfect place to start. Let's get you on the path to a healthier, fitter, and more energetic version of yourself. I hope you'll join us each week, and together we can unlock your full potential. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast. I'm really glad you're here. Very happy to report that I am getting my mother's house on the market this week. This is the last big rock in settling her estate. This has been quite the journey, and it's nice to know that it's coming to an end. I can at least see there is an end in sight, and that feels pretty good because I'll get to go back home to Panama. It's been way too long away, but things are moving forward, and I feel really good about it. And I know you're going to enjoy this conversation with Dr. Michelle. Our guest today is a renowned health based dentist, traditional naturopath, author, and whole body health advocate. Her transformative journey began when mercury exposure from traditional dentistry made her seriously ill. Working to save her own health and the health of her patients, she pioneered the total care dental and wellness way to seamlessly integrate medicine and dentistry. For over a decade, she has been a pioneer in the medical dental integrative model, attracting patients and followers from all corners of the globe. She is known for her ability to simplify complex health challenges, to get to the root cause, and provide actionable answers. Beyond her dental practice, she is the founder of Living Well with Dr. Michelle, teaching essential life skills and providing safe, healthy alternatives for health and wellness products. A busy mother of four, she also runs the Living Well Homestead and Education Center, where she is passionate about teaching and helping others live well. With no further ado, here's Dr. Michelle Jorgensen. Dr. Michelle, welcome to 40 Plus Fitness.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
All right, so the name of your book is called Living Well with Dr. Michelle,
Yeah.
a comprehensive handbook for optimal health and unlimited energy. And there's a lot about this book that I was like, okay, I'm going to like this book. And then there were a few things about this book where I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to kind of challenge my lines of uh, where I am right now in the way that I look at things. And so it did challenge me. So I want to thank you for doing that because
Good.
there have been some times I've gotten into something and it got a little bit into the Eastern medicines, and I was like, okay, I just can't go there right now. My brain just won't wrap around that. I spent too much time thinking and talking about Western medicine to be able to marry the two. But you did an excellent job.
Thank you. That's really my intent, is to say we don't actually have to do one or the other, that the modern medicine as we call it today came from all of these traditional medicine methodologies. So how do we use the best from both to really be well today?
Yeah. And then the other thing is, I liked how you were able to talk about why this was so important to you, in that you were dealing with mercury, basically mercury poisoning.
Yep.
And that was from your fillings. And being a dentist, that's probably something that was like near and dear to your heart. It's like, how did I do this to myself? And I've done this to other people as a dentist. So can you talk
Yeah,
just
it wasn't, yeah, go ahead. But yeah, I'm going to clarify that piece. So that was probably your next question.
Yeah. Well, I guess the question then is how how did you, I mean, because you did a lot of the things that are in this book, you basically started down this trail trying to figure out how to heal yourself. And so, can you talk just a little bit about how that thought process was going on in your head at the very beginning of, okay, I don't know that Western medicine is the end all be all answer for me right now, to where you were able to go through and do it because you were trained on Western medicine for the most part. So,
Yep. Yeah, yeah, so if you don't mind, I'll just tell kind of a short version of my story.
sure.
I am a dentist and trained very traditionally, obviously, that's the only way to be trained as a dentist really today, and my father was a dentist, so that's what I grew up knowing. My grandfather was an internist, it's just this the world that I had been in, and it's the only world I knew. And I started getting sick about a decade into practice. And I started having some major symptoms. My gut problems were such I literally couldn't even drink water sometimes without pain. So it was really, really bad. And so we started doing everything we knew to do. Everything everybody on here probably has already heard of. You start changing your diet, you throw away all the processed foods, you do all that kind of thing. And it helped a little, but it didn't help a lot. But the big ones were my memory. I just literally couldn't even complete a sentence anymore, couldn't remember patients' names from room to room. And my hands were so numb, painfully numb. I couldn't sleep at night. I couldn't hold like an instrument anymore. I couldn't blow dry my hair, none of this. And I went to doctor after doctor after doctor after doctor, all in Western medicine. And I did all the things, all the tests, all the x-rays, all the everything. And no one had any answers for me. They kept giving me pills. Well, here's an acid reducer. Well, that acid reducer didn't do a thing for me because that wasn't my problem. And so it was all I knew to do. And when I finally didn't have an answer, I said, well, I've got to go find somewhere else then. I've got to go find something else because I cannot get an answer here. So I started looking outside of it into nutrition and other nutrition philosophies. And eventually along that pathway, someone said, have you looked into mercury as a potential problem? Now, I actually didn't have any fillings. I've never had a filling in my life. So it's not the fillings I had. And that's what I told this person. I said, well, I don't have any fillings. I know that silver fillings are 50% mercury, but I don't have any. And they said, it's not the fillings you have. It's the ones you've been drilling out for the last 10 years with no protection. Because when the dentist is doing the work, mercury vaporizes, it comes up, and it fills the dentist, fills the room, fills the patient, fills the dental assistant. I mean, everybody's getting mercury exposure at that point. So when I learned that, I thought, what in the world do I not know? I have never heard this inside of dentistry, and I got tested, and that's what it was, mercury toxicity off the charts. So it just really kind of upset my world, my whole worldview. Like, I have been inside of dentistry for almost 15 years at this point. I had been involved in dentistry for another 10 with my father. I had never heard that mercury in amalgam fillings and silver fillings could be dangerous for anybody, for the patient, for the doctor. In fact, I've been told if I'd said anything about it, I would lose my license. So that's all I knew. And I thought, maybe there's more that I don't know. Maybe I should keep looking. And that's where I really had to start changing my own mindset, and not to everything that I've learned is wrong or everything that I've learned is bad. That's not the approach I used. I used, well, what else could I bring in to my work, my own personal healing, that would give me the answers and the results I'm looking for that I simply haven't been able to find inside of modern medicine. And it was a real deal for me. And so that's when my mind personally started opening to these other ideas and other concepts. And that's where I realized there was so much good. And a lot of the things that I'd learned traditionally, or, kind of in the modern medicine model, I found came from other things, came from things that, people have been using for thousands of years. I'm like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that this came from that. And so it made me really realize this exclusionary concept or this mindset we have of, oh, I'm in modern medicine. I can't think about any of those traditional medicine or Eastern medicine. And that's actually completely wrong, because it's all the same medicine. And we really just need to say, well, where can we find what we need to be well? How do we find it?
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I want to highlight here, and you were quite proficient at doing it based on your background, probably more than anything else, but you advocated for yourself, and so from that perspective, you were like, okay, I'm not happy with practice, if you will, because it's medical practice. Try this and tell me if it works. Try this and tell me if it works, until you find something that at least deals with the symptoms to a point. But a lot of what you've put in the book is actually now drilling into some of the causes, so we can actually get well instead of just dealing with being sick. So,
Yes.
could you compare and contrast well care versus, you said disease care in the book. I've always heard of it as sick care, but disease care, what the approaches mean, and why we should be on one side of that versus the other.
I really like to think about this concept of, well baby visits. When we have a baby, we take them to the doctor for well baby visits, right? It's not that they're sick. We go because we want to make sure that they're growing right and that they're on track with everything and everything's going well. Well, we don't do well adult visits at the doctor, nobody does that. Maybe on occasion you'll do like a physical, if you have to do it for your work or for something like that. But when do we go to the doctor?
Yeah.
When we're sick. We're already sick. There's already something wrong. Well, when we are already sick, when our bodies are already at the point of showing pretty extreme symptoms, things are really off track, right? Because usually disease starts at a very microscopic level in the cells and it slowly builds until, all of a sudden we feel terrible. We can't get out of bed. We're depressed. We have this horrible head cold, whatever it might be. That's the end point of what's really happening. So why do we wait that long? Why do we wait till we're so sick? That's the sick care. That's
Are you
disease care.
talking about men or women?
Both. Both. Everybody. I mean, women don't go for well adult visits either,
No, they don't.
Why
They
do we
don't.
wait that long? And I think really the biggest piece about this is we don't know what to do about it. We might get those small little indications that something's off, the small little symptoms, but we don't know what to do about it at that point. So we just deal with it, put it off. It becomes our new norm. We just start to accept that that's just who we are now. We just, okay, great. We have to walk a little differently because my ankle always hurts. Or we have, we just kind of accommodate. I can't ever eat that. It just makes me feel bad. We just accommodate and deal with it rather than saying, wait a minute. Maybe we should fix this now before it progresses to full-blown disease and even chronic disease like heart disease, strokes, cancer, all of those things. Why do we wait that long? So that's really what I like to highlight is to say, listen, we don't have to. We don't have to wait that long. I'm going to teach you how to interpret your symptoms now and what to do about it when you have those symptoms.
Okay. So what I did like about the book was that you took the things that were, so I would call associated more with Eastern medicine, and you kind of broke them down and explained them in layman's terms, if you will. You shouldn't have to, but uh, it was good that you did that for me. So could you take just a minute to kind of go through the elements of wellness?
Yes, and the elements and seasons are very correlated, so we'll kind of tie those two things together. But it was interesting when I was looking for answers for my own health challenges. I started looking first at traditional Chinese, it's called TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. I started taking some courses and started learning about this. And I learned that it's kind of like a body type or basically the way my body is. I'm a fire. Now, anybody who knows me, they probably would not be surprised by that. They'd probably say, yes, that makes a lot of sense. I move fast, I talk fast, I have lots of energy. Yes, that's absolutely true. And there are 5 elements in traditional Chinese medicine, and they all relate to the elements of the earth. So it's fire, water, they call it wood, I call it plants, air, and they call it metal, actually. They call it metal, air, and earth. So I started learning about this, and I thought, this is really fascinating. There is a lot of correlation between myself as a fire, the things that weaken me, like water puts fire out, right? In the real world, water puts fire out. Well, the same goes for when I'm a fire energy. Water energy is something that will actually dim my fire. Like, it was really interesting, these concepts, but I thought again, I don't know what to do with this. And then I started looking into other methodologies. I started looking into Ayurveda from India. And I realized it talks about the same thing. It talked about earth. and wind and dampness and dryness, and like it was using the same words. And then I looked into Song medicine from Korea and Native American medicine from the US and German herbalism, and they all used the same thing. They were all talking about those 5 elements of the earth. And what I realized is all of these traditional methodologies, they were all using what they knew. But that's something that's common with all of us, right? We all know what earth means. We all know what water means, what air means, what plants mean. We all know what these things mean. So it makes it relatable. I can talk to you now and I can say, okay, you've got a little bit of excess. You're basically in a water season. Your kidneys, your bladder, everything's not working very well because it's, water is where your symptoms are showing up. And you go, oh, yeah, I get it. My urinary system's all about water. Okay, I got it. Or we can talk about air and we say, this is lungs. Yeah, you've got this horrible cough. You're getting pneumonia all the time. Yeah, you're in the air season. And you'd get it. Oh, yeah, that's about my air. Okay. So what I've attempted to do with this is simplify it down so that everybody anywhere speaking any language would be able to be talking about the same thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's really where it came from, is just let's use all of these methodologies, put them into a comprehensive but very clear and simple framework so that we know what it means when we're talking about things. And that's really how the elements, I didn't create any of this. This is me synthesizing all of these other traditional methodologies and just saying, all right, let's pull them all together. And now let's make sense of wellness and how we personally can get there using the same words that people have been using for centuries.
Now, when you use the seasons of wellness, initially, okay, so I'm like, okay, I get it. And then I started reading through it. I'm like, maybe I don't get it. And then maybe I get it. Um, I've always believed that we should live on seasons, that, we should base our bodies because our biology over the course of tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years, have functioned in these different seasons. And I truly think from a perspective of eating, moving, sleeping, all of it, that we should be looking at the seasons and saying, okay, what is the best, most important thing for me to do now? Fortunately or unfortunately, we can break away from seasons a little bit because we can climate control, we can food control, we can do all these things so that our body doesn't have to experience any seasons at all. But I think that's a mistake. I kind of think you think that too a little bit from what I read. Could you kind of talk about the seasons and why they're also important?
Yep. So there's actually we're going to talk about seasons in two different ways. The first is the way you've been describing. And really, seasonal living has been obviously since the first man that was on the face of the earth. You eat what's growing right now. Your body responds to either hot or cold, dependent on what the temperature is outside. These are things that have just been cyclical for forever. So all of us cycle through all of the earthly seasons, the seasons that happen on the earth every single year, right? And some people, their seasons are pretty mild. Like if you live in San Diego, let's say, there's not going to be a heck of a lot of change from, February to July, maybe. But there is going to be some change. So even if you live in a very temperate climate and things don't change, there's going to be some change. So the earth gives us cues. But like you said, we've learned a little bit not to pay attention to those cues anymore. Because I can get food anytime of the year, anywhere, right? I can get a banana any time of the year here where I live in Utah. Well, 200 years ago, I could never get a banana here in Utah, if ever, hardly, it's just not going to happen. But I can get it any time of the year here. I can get lettuce any time of the year right now. Actually, funny, my son, he lives just no, about 30 miles away, but he realized that, if he comes shopping at my house, that it's a lot cheaper than shopping at the grocery store. And so he comes and gets food. He's a 19-year-old kid. And so he just texted me today and he said, "Hey, Mom, can I come get some food out of the garden for today?" And I said, "Absolutely. What do you want?" And he said, "Well, I want lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers, like whatever you have." And I said, "Well, I have tomatoes and cucumbers coming out my ears right now. Come on and get as much as you want, but I have no lettuce in the garden right now." And people are probably thinking, "What?" It's like, it's August. Why do you not have lettuce in the garden? Because seasonally, lettuce grows when it's cool. So I have lettuce in April and I have lettuce in October, but I don't have lettuce in August. And people who don't live seasonally have no clue that that even happens.
Yeah.
You don't even know that lettuce doesn't grow in August. Nobody knows this anymore. So we've moved a little bit out of the seasons from a living standpoint. So that's one way of looking at the seasons. And there's a lot of reason to live with the cyclical seasons. We're going to look at it in an additional way, not completely, not just not this, but this. We're going to look at it in an additional way. So let's talk about spring. In springtime, what grows? Now I have a huge garden, and sometimes I'll ask people this and they look at me like, I have no clue. Like, I've never grown a garden. I have no clue. So we'll let you off the hook here. In springtime, the things that grow are green: lettuce, spinach, kale, radishes, green onions, all of these things. Lots of herbs come on in the spring. That's what grows in the earth. Dandelions grow in the spring. So I looked at all of these traditional medical methodologies, and they all said that spring correlates with things like liver and gallbladder and plants. So we take the element of plants that we talked about, the element, and we're going to put it with the season of spring. It makes sense from an earth standpoint. Those are the things that the earth's providing. And guess what's really great for liver and gallbladder? Dandelions, green onions, radishes, arugula, kale, everything that grows in that season. So I'm going to back you up now just a little bit and help to describe this. So I looked at all of these different traditional methodologies. They would say things like, in Ayurveda, I am a pitta dosha. If I tell that to you, you have no clue what I'm meaning, right? Unless you've been trained in Ayurveda, you're like, cool. I don't know.
I've heard the phrase before because I've had someone on to talk about Ayurveda, but I was just
Yes,
confused then. So
exactly, exactly right. I have no clue what you're talking about. Great, awesome. But what that means is like I'm drying and I'm hot, like I'm hot and I'm dry. Like that's the way my body kind of runs. All right. So I took all of these different ones, put them in this huge, massive spreadsheet, and I said, okay, let's make it just very, very simple. So let's say you come to me today and you say, I am a little like bloated. I don't feel very good. My digestion, I don't feel like things are moving very good. Like I just always feel a little kind of gassy. Like in my personal life, I'm a little stuck. I just have zero motivation right now. I don't know what it really, I really don't want to like get up and do much of anything. I just don't feel great. If you came and told me that, I would say your body currently is in a season of spring. It needs to dump stuff. It needs to detox. It needs a fresh start. So now you're kind of getting it, right? And it's like, okay, all right, I get it. So your body, your symptoms are telling me you're in the season of spring. And this is all we have from our body, right? The only way we know what our body needs is by paying attention to the symptoms. That's it. That's all we got. So we pay attention to the symptoms. We usually cover them up. That's kind of what Western medicine trains us to do, right? If we have a headache, what do? We take some
take a
ibuprofen.
pill, yeah, because that's
Yeah.
what we want. I mean, we go to the doctor expecting the script.
Yep. We expect to cover up the problem, but it's really a Band-Aid. If you cut your finger, you might put a Band-Aid on your finger. Does the Band-Aid actually heal you?
Of course not.
No, it might hold those pieces of skin together, right? And it might keep it clean and dry, and it might do that, but it doesn't heal you. Your body actually has to do the work, right? Your cells have to do the work to heal you. So all of those kinds of medicines are just Band-Aids. They're there just to kind of support your body in doing what they need to do. All medicine is, whether it's Western medicine, traditional, like I don't care what we're talking about. All medicine is simply there to support your body in doing what it needs to do. So how do you know what your body needs to do?
Listen.
Yeah, listen and interpret it, right? So that's what this season's assessment. So I've created a season's assessment. That's what the season's assessment is for. It's to help you interpret, to help you listen, to help you interpret before you get sick. You don't have to be really, really ill before we start here. We can just say, gosh, I'm super unmotivated right now and I feel a little bloaty. Great. Go to the season's assessment, plug those symptoms in, and it's going to say, your body is in a season of spring. Even though it might not be spring outside, your body says, I'm in a season of spring. My liver and my gallbladder need help right now. And then I tell you what to do about it. Let's say instead of that, you come and you say, you know what? I am constantly getting colds. I just can't stay well. You might know people like this. People who are listening, this might be you. Every single time something comes along, I get it again. I'm constantly getting a cold. And I'm just feeling really sad these days. I'm really melancholy. I can't figure out exactly why. I've got this cough like way deep down in here. You go plug those symptoms in. It's going to spit out. You're in the season of fall. This is your lungs. This is your large intestine that's struggling right now. So now we live in a world with so much health information. I mean, this is your world too. So much health information, right? We are not lacking in information today, but we are lacking in clarity. We don't know what to do and when to do it and what really is going to work and what to trust. And, these are the challenges that I hear over and over and over again every single day in practice. So yeah, I don't feel great, but I don't have a clue what to do with it. Like, should I be paleo? Should I be keto? Should I should I go start doing, HIIT exercises? I'm like, wrong answer, wrong questions. These are the wrong questions. We're asking what kind of medicine, what program, what diet, wrong questions. The right question is, what do my cells need to be well? And that's what the season assessment does, is it tells you which cells need help first. And then I tell you what to do, actually how to interpret those symptoms.
Okay. I want to take a quick little detour that you had in the book, and I thought this was brilliant. And you probably borrowed it, but that's okay. You can take ownership of it. But you know, I always talk to folks about whole food. I talk to them about eating real food and getting away from the processed stuff. And then of course, some Yahoo's going to be like, well, if you cook it, it's processed. And I'm like, well, yes, of course. If you chew it, it's processed. But that's neither here nor there. But in the book, you listed the 4 categories of food processing, and I think that's just a very good way to say, okay, let's get on this side of this seesaw, so we're not jerking ourselves around. But could you go through the 4 categories of food processing?
Yes. So, when we talk about processed foods, we just use this overarching, categorization. It's a processed food, but actually there's different versions of processing like you alluded to. So I use an example in the book that's a true story from my own home. I one year I have a great big garden, and I grew a whole bunch of beans that I had used or that I was planning to dry, pull them out of the pod, and they were going to be like black beans, garbanzo beans, the kind that are dried beans that you then cook and you use. So I was using these. So I harvested all these beans, and they were in pods, and I stuck them all in a Ziploc bag, and I closed the Ziploc bag up. Put them away for a couple of weeks. Came back to get the beans out, to take them out of the pods, and so I could use them, and they were all moldy inside of that bag because I had not dried them properly. So that is the first category of food processing. We actually have to do something to them to be able to utilize them properly. So like you said, even, cooking a food might be processing in food. Yes, but that's not something that we're concerned about. We're just going to call it, category 1, minimal processing. We're just having to do something to make this food usable. And so many foods are like that, right? We have to strain the milk to be able to use it. Well, that's a minimal process, or whatever it might be. So there's minimal things we have to do. We have to cut the tomato to be able to utilize it. That's minimal processing. So, whatever it might be, you have to do something to it to actually be able to utilize it.
Yeah.
Minimal. Great. Okay, the next one up is called processed ingredients. So you might not think about this, but maple syrup. Are you going to go just suck on a tree and get the maple syrup out of the tree? No. Olive oil. Are we going to just squeeze the olives ourselves and let it drip into our mouths? No. And so this is some additional processing to be able to get ingredients. Olive oil, we have to do some pressing of it to get the oil. Maple syrup, we have to put it through a refining process to be able to get the maple syrup. So that's processing of some of the ingredients. The next one up is processed foods. So this is something that we're combining ingredients together to make something. So we're making bread. I'm going to combine 4 different ingredients together to make that bread. Cheese, I'm going to add rennet to the milk to be able to make that cheese. So this is another step of processing. It's not just one thing anymore. It's multiple things together, right? Are we still okay with eating all the things we've described so far?
For the most part, yes.
Yeah. I think all these are pretty good. Like the bread I make, it's literally 4 ingredients. It's flour, water, my sourdough starter, and salt. Like that's it. That's a processed food, but that bread I'm feeling pretty good about eating, Now we get into the 4th category, which is ultra-processed foods. These foods are designed for convenience. They're designed for taste. They're designed to sit on a shelf in a bag for unlimited amounts of time. So these are the foods that have been added. They've added salt, sugar, fats, preservatives, things you would never actually have in your kitchen at home, right? Things that you can't pronounce. They have all these letters and numbers and whatever, but you can't even pronounce this thing. They've been added to those foods so that they can make them in a facility in Cleveland, Ohio, and put them in a bag and ship them to my store in Utah. And then I go buy them like 2 weeks, 3 weeks later. I go put them in my kitchen and they sit there for another couple of months. That's the kind of food that we're calling ultra processed. That's the kind of food that our bodies simply don't have a clue what to do with, because it is so far from that original, so really all 3 of these first processing versions, yeah, they're processed foods, but they're just ingredients. They're things that we know our bodies recognize. They know what to do with. This 4th category doesn't have a clue what to do with it. So what does it do? It packs it over here. It packs it over here. It hides it over here. Does all these things. This is why we get belly fat. This is why we have all these issues. Creates inflammation in the body because the body's like, I seriously don't know what I'm going to do with that stuff you just fed me. I don't even know what that is. And that creates a ton of inflammation in the body. But I want more because it's super addictive. Exactly right. It's super addictive. Why do you think they put in fat, sugar, and salt? Because we all love them. Our bodies go, oh my gosh, that tastes so great. It's so amazing. Those Doritos. Whoa, those Doritos. But I talk about something in the book that I think is actually, if it's okay to bring it up, about the apostat. I don't know if you caught this principle. I love this principle so much. When I first heard it, I went, oh, that makes so much sense to me. This clears up so much for me. So we all think about hunger as this needing volume, right? Needing a quantity of food. Oh, I'm so hungry. I just haven't had much food today. So I'm hungry. I need more food, more volume. But our hunger meter, it's called an apostat. So it's like your appetite, right? Instead of a thermostat, which tells you how hot or cold it is, your apostat tells you, do you have an appetite for more or not? And we think it's volume of food. It's not. It's actually volume or quantity of nutrients. So this is your body's own thermostat, a way of telling you you're deficient in something. And you might get a craving for something, wow, why am I craving watermelon right now? That's really crazy, whatever it might be. You're deficient in something. And all of these processed foods have actually figured out how to hijack some of these processes. But it doesn't work. Let me tell you why. So this apostat says, yep, I'm hungry. All right, you go and you eat an entire bag of Doritos because it has all sorts of things in there, these sugars and these fats and these salts, and they say, oh, this is so great. It tastes so amazing, and your brain's firing, going boom, 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 boom. I'm so happy. And guess what your apostat does?
More.
It stays over here.
Yeah.
because it hasn't gotten what it needs. Remember, it needed nutrients. It needed, like, let's say it needs vitamin A, or it needs, a certain mineral. It needs some selenium, or it needs some magnesium. And it didn't get any of that from the Doritos. The Doritos manufacturers know this. This is great for them because guess what your body now says? You need to eat another bag of Doritos. They were so good and you're still hungry. So you eat another bag of Doritos. Still, your appestat is saying nothing. You got nothing that you need. You're still hungry. Have you ever had this experience where you literally eat a whole bag of potato chips and you're like, how can I still be hungry? I just ate that whole thing. Because your body's not looking for calories. It's looking for nutrients. So on the other end of the spectrum, it's interesting. Every single Monday, I take my grandkids. I have a little 3-year-old and a little 1-year-old grandkid. And I figured out the very best place to take them for lunch is it's our grocery store. It's a really kind of a nicer grocery store. They have a really nice salad bar. And they have this loft above that you can take your food up there and you can eat. You can see out over the whole grocery store. We just love it. But the reason I love it so much is because it's like toddler friendly food, It's like raspberries and blueberries and little cheese cubes and just all these toddler friendly foods. So that's where we go every single Monday. And I will get my own salad, and I'm usually doing it in a hurry because I got 2 kiddos in the cart and they're like screaming, Grandma, Grandma. So I'm like hurrying, making my salad, and I'm throwing it in theirs and their salad, and anyway, getting their food all done. By the time I get their food out in front of them and start to eat, they're like almost done. So I'm like, okay, I'm almost out of time here. I usually get halfway through my salad and they're done. They're like throwing food everywhere. I'm like, all right, we got to get out of this place. But I'm full. How am I full with like a cup and a half of salad? Because it was full of nutrients. If you've ever had this experience, it's fascinating. You
Oh
get a
yeah, I
plate
mean,
full of food.
try sitting down and eating 5 ounces of spinach.
Yeah, you can't do it. Your body's just like, done. That's all I needed. Thank you very much. I'm done for the rest of the day, and it's exactly right. And so if you really like, people talk a lot about weight loss, and I don't really talk in the book at all about weight loss because the body figures out, the body's giving you signals. It tells you what you need. We have just dulled them, quieted them, covered them up with all of these addictive food substances, food-like items. They're not really food for so long that we don't even know what true hunger feels like and what true satiety feels like. Yeah, eat that much spinach and your body's like, done. Don't need any more food for the day. And it's amazing how little you actually need to take care of your body's needs when you start giving them the things that they really want. And so listening and understanding, what do these symptoms mean? That's, again, going back to the seasons again. That's what that's all about, is saying, what do my symptoms need? What is my body telling me? Oh, I am in spring season. I need some spinach. Fabulous. And your body goes, thank you for listening for a change. This is exactly what I needed. My liver was in such need of that spinach right now. And it's fabulous for your liver. And all of a sudden, body goes, you know what? Tomorrow morning, I'm going to get up and do something because my motivation just skyrocketed. All of a sudden, my liver got what it needed. I got the nutrients I needed. I'm feeling on fire today. You will see the difference almost immediately when you start giving your body what it's actually asking for.
Now, in the book, okay, so the process that you follow in the book is called the Cell Well model. It's a 4-step model. Can you talk about the 4 steps and then maybe just a quick example of how this would be applied?
Yep. So, as I was going through my own healing process again, I had this idea about this cut finger, and I thought, all right, if I can just figure out how to take care of one cell, what one cell needs, then I can take care of every single cell. And for those who are listening, if you don't really understand what I'm talking about when I say a cell, we're made of like 3 trillion cells, okay? We have all these cells, but the cool thing about it is our cells actually remake themselves. We are entirely new within a year's time. Isn't that amazing? I mean, it's really amazing. Like, you can cut out half of your liver and it's going to grow back in like 3 months' time. That's so incredible. Our bodies are so amazing. So these are the cells I'm talking about, basically the building blocks that we are made of. We've got skin cells, we have eye cells, we have fingernail cells, we have tooth cells and bone cells and liver cells. Like, we have all these different cells, and every single one of them is remade. But each cell, even though they're different, Each cell has 4 things that they always need to be well. So the first thing they need is supplies. We get supplies. We've been talking about supplies this whole time, right? All right, what does spinach have in it that your liver cells need? They need certain things. They need oxygen, they need nutrients. We get it. Supplies is actually super easy. They need support. What does that mean? So, when our bodies metabolize food, we have waste. Now we know what one kind of waste or 2 kinds of waste. We call them number 1 and number 2. we know what those kinds of wastes mean. But they also have other wastes that aren't always moved out of the system very easily. They get stuck in our lymphatic system. Now the lymphatic system, interestingly enough, doesn't move on its own. So our heart pumps, pushes blood through our body. Lymphatic system, it's our garbage system. It doesn't have a pump. So it actually gets stuck sometimes. So support is doing things like helping the garbage to dump. So what would an example of that be? The lymphatic system is like right underneath your skin. So you can literally 2 garbage disposals. We have one that are underneath the armpits. The second garbage disposal we have is in the groin area. So what you can do is literally just go along your arm all the way up and push it towards the garbage disposal in the armpit. Same thing here. If you get swollen lymph nodes up here in the tonsil area or, underneath your chin, you move it down all towards that garbage disposal in the armpit. That's support. Sometimes your cells just need a little help to dump the garbage, things like that. They need security. This is us staying well in January when there's cold and flu viruses going along like crazy. What do we give our cells so they can actually defend themselves so they don't get sick? And the last thing they need is signals. This one people may not understand. Signals is the way our cells talk to each other. So how do our intestine cells tell our brain that they're hungry, that they don't have the nutrients they need? There's signals that are going all the way everywhere in our bodies. And there's certain things that we can do to increase that signaling efficiency. The way that the body, it's kind of like the cell phone. You're walking around going, can you hear me yet? Can you hear me yet? Can you hear me yet? How do we get better service between our cells? Those are the 4 things. So let's say you are it's December and you are like, this year, I am determined. I am not going to get sick all winter long. I am not going to be sick with a cold, head cold. I'm just not going to do this. What can I give my cells to make sure that doesn't happen? So let's think about from a supply standpoint. What do cells need to stay well? Everybody knows about vitamin C, right? And interestingly enough, what grows in December, January? That's when all the citrus comes on. Isn't that cool? Earth's pretty smart. So vitamin C is just really plentiful in citrus fruits. So if you don't want to get sick in January, what should you be drinking or eating in December? Supplies. You should be eating lots of oranges, lots of grapefruit. Another thing is oregano oil. Fabulous for giving your body the ability to stay well. Actually, that's insecurity. Erase that. Supplies, lots of vitamin C right now. Okay? Supplies, lots of vitamin C. Support standpoint. What are you doing? Well, if you don't want to get sick, you actually need all that garbage moving a lot. So one great thing to do would be to get in a sauna or a hot shower or hot bath and sweat. Sweat's a great way to dump your garbage. Cells will get well when they're just surrounded by junk. So every couple of days, get in a hot shower and just sweat for a bit. Just let the sweat just flow. Security, oregano oil, garlic, fabulous to secure your cells. So either take those things. There's a supplement you can take that just has garlic and oregano in it together. Take that every day. Elderberry, fabulous for preventing sickness. Signals. Vitamin C is also amazing for signals. So again, up that vitamin C and preferably from food. So citrus fruits, blueberries, strawberries, spinach, broccoli, these all have tons of vitamin C in them. So really what you're doing is you're saying, I don't want to get sick in January. You can wait till January to get sick, or you can say, what do I need to do for my cells to make sure that I never get sick? And literally, when I get people on these regimens, they don't get sick. There's a story that I tell in the book. I think I tell it in the book. Maybe not. But it's a fabulous story. A singer, her name's she's a singer, not a singer that you would know, but she likes to sing. She enjoys singing. Her name's Serena. Enjoys singing, and she told me that she just stopped booking gigs from about November through March or so. This was her job. And I told her, why are you not singing? Like, there's a lot of holidays. I'm sure you could get a lot of things. And she said, no, I just never know if I'm going to be sick or not. I said, so you're just waiting around to get sick every single winter time. She's like, well, what else do I do? Well, we do this. So we put her on a regimen. So every single day, she's taking vitamin C, oregano, and elderberry. That's it. Every single day. She started this about a year and a half ago. She has not been sick since. Why? Because her cells have what they need now to stay well. That's the key. Cells can stay well when we give them what they need.
Excellent. Dr. Michelle, I define wellness as being the healthiest, fittest, and happiest you can be. What are 3 strategies or tactics to get and stay well?
So really what I encourage everyone to do is you can go get the assessment that I'm talking about, that you can go plug your symptoms into. That's the starting point for me, because overwhelm is real. And anytime we're confused, we can't move forward. You ever notice that? If you're confused, like let's say you go to buy a car and you're confused about the benefits, about the gas mileage, about the, whatever it is, like you can't say yes if you're confused. But there's so much information in today's world that we all are living in this state of kind of confusion all the time. We're just confused. We don't know what to do. We want to be well, but we don't know what to do. So go take the assessment. So if you go to livingwellbook.com, you plug in your information and there you're going to get this assessment. And it's going to tell you which season are you in, which is going to cut through that overwhelm and say, just start here. Just do this first. This is the first place to start. So that's what I say to begin with, is just figure out where you need to start, what your symptoms are saying. Something that I think every single day everybody should do is starting off, well, actually, let me explain this just a little bit. There's the seasons of the earth, but there's also the seasons of the day. If you remember this from the book also. Every single day our body goes through cycles. Think about it. What do we do the first thing when we wake up in the morning? What does pretty much everybody do?
I go pee, but that's
Exactly.
me.
That's exactly right. Not just you. Everybody does. Why? Because the morning is the springtime of the day. Okay? Springtime of the day, what are we doing? We're detoxing. We're getting rid of stuff. We're starting over again. The very best time for eating a big meal is actually midday. That's the summer of the day. That's when our digestive fire, like the ability to digest food, is the hottest. So we actually should be eating, like the most difficult to eat food should be around noonish time. Then we move into the harvest season in the afternoon. Things are kind of slowing down and we need a little bit of pick-me-up. So that's when we do an electrolyte in the afternoon. We do an electrolyte, we give it a little bit extra energy. That electrolyte brings electrons to the cells, it brings better signaling, everything. By the fall time, which is like 6, 7 p.m. in the evening, we should be doing a lighter meal. We're kind of winding down. We should be doing some deep breathing exercises. Giving ourselves a little more oxygen. This is the fall, the air season. And then by winter time, we don't eat anymore. We're done. No more eating in the winter. We're going to bed. We're recharging. We're regenerating so that we can wake up in the morning and we can pee. And then we can dump everything that we processed in the morning. So I didn't say the first thing in the morning that I want you to do is warm water. Warm water with a little bit of lemon in it. Why? Why warm? Well, first of all, you're just warming up. If you drink something cold first thing in the morning, so a lot of people drink a cold smoothie first thing in the morning, you've immediately extinguished your digestive fire for almost the rest of the day. You're not going to digest well for the rest of the day. Isn't this crazy? So those who are drinking coffee or something warm in the morning, actually, it's good for you. Coffee or tea, it's good. It's good. You're just helping to warm your system up. I do warm water with a juice of a lemon in it. Why? That's helping to detox my liver, detox everything, clean out all stuff that I cleaned out. So that's really what I recommend for people to do on a daily basis. Think about, where am I at in my day? And it's not these rules like, oh, never eat anything past 7 or 8 p.m. Well, you don't have to have a rule. You can just go, oh, it's the winter time. We don't eat in the winter. Winter time's for regeneration and rejuvenating. If our body's using up all of its energy digesting food, it can't fix my liver. So I can't fix my intestines. It can't regrow my hair. It can't do any of those things. So I'm not going to give it any work to do to digest food. This is why you don't eat in the evening or late at night. We want it to do all the other work it has to do for the morning. So just think about, where am I at the seasons of my day? And how can I utilize those principles to live better every single day? Because if you live better every day, you are going to be better. You're going to be well. And to your definition, you're going to be able to do all the things you want to do in life.
Okay. Dr. Michelle, if someone wanted to learn more about you, learn more about your book, Living Well with Dr. Michelle, where would you like for me to send them?
So everyone can go to livingwellwithdrmichelle.com, and there's all kinds of information on there about the book. You'll see all the stuff that I talk about as a dentist, because there's so many things that tie in with oral health and overall health and how the correlation happens there. Go check out YouTube channels. It's all for free. I have a gut health guide on there, a gut health test you can take, as well as the seasons assessment. And the seasons assessment can best be found at livingwellbook.com, where you can get the seasons assessment as well as the first steps guide and really just figure out, where should you start? That's the right question to be asking. What do my cells need right now?
Dr. Michelle, thank you for being a part of 40 Plus Fitness.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, for all you do.
If you enjoyed today's show, take a moment to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And if you would, please leave us a rating and review on your podcast player of choice. Next time on the 40 Plus Fitness podcast, we discuss the 5 things who people who look and feel 10 years younger are doing. Until then, have a happy and healthy week.